Oh, hello there. Well, we're getting a bit British today because today our topic is Queen Elizabeth of England. In recent years, she's gotten a lot of attention, mainly because of news articles that has been coming out about her family members, but also because she is the subject of the popular Netflix show The Crown. So for a lot of people, you might be wondering, what is the real Queen really like? And also, what does astrology tell us about the Queen? And so we're going to have a bit of fun today, and I'll be showing you her charts, and we're going to be seeing a few interesting things that we might uncover about our beloved Queen. So here we have it, and we can see this is her astrological chart. And for the people who are not familiar with seeing what charts actually look like, you can see from the left hand side we've got her birth information. The Queen was born a long time ago on the 21st of April in 26. Oh my god, like that means she's like almost 100 years old now. And we've got her birth time and her birth city. So for those of you who have not seen real astrological charts before, what we call the birth chart is drawn for the specific date, time, and the location of a person's birth. So as you can see from her chart, the Queen is what we call a Taurus. So that's because her sun sign is in Taurus, and I think that's awesome because I'm a Taurus too. But also, let's have a look and see what can we tell from here. So let's start off with a couple of things. Now, first of all, let's talk about her appearance. You've all seen the Queen. She's always very beautifully dressed and looks like super regal, and she looks like this royal person. But at the same time, there are some people who have described her as being kind of like a little old lady with the white hair, like someone's grandmother. And how can we tell that? It's because she's got the planet Venus in the very first house. So planets in the first house can describe the impression that we give to others. And Venus here tells you that she'll look like a lovely person, very well-mannered, and definitely someone that looks approachable, and especially in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is very gentle, kind. She looks like some old lady you might sort of like help her cross the road or something. Yeah, but it's not the only planet that is in the first house. Now you might also notice this one is Mars, and the other planet here is Jupiter. So for those of you who are familiar with what the planets mean, neither of these planets are associated with femininity or being demure and like little teacups. Not at all. So what gives? So those of you who have been following the TV series The Crown, you might already have noticed that the Queen is an avid horse lover. So you see in multiple areas, she's quite the horsewoman herself. And she's in fact got lots of family members who have become Olympians or have had really good shots at becoming equestrian Olympians. So horses runs in her family, and she herself has been pictured multiple times on horses throughout her reign as queen. Now, on top of that, Jupiter at this placement, usually it creates in our psychological astrology profile, it creates a profile called the warrior. And what this means is that although she's all womanly and demure, but she can absolutely hold her own in a world or in an industry that is male dominated. Now, of course, we all know that the Queen didn't have a choice about the profession that she's in. But if you can see, she spends a lot of her time with heads of states, and lots of the prime ministers that have been in power during her reign have been mostly men, with the occasional Margaret Thatcher and the Theresa Mays, but pretty much everyone else is a man. And we've all known that this woman has held her own over and against men who have been sort of like trying to tell her what to do. But the other thing that the Queen is really, really known for is about that British stiff upper lip. She doesn't always react in a very obvious manner to most things that have happened during her reign. And this is because there are two things here. She's got both of these planets are in the sign of Aquarius. And those of you familiar with Aquarius will know it's not the most emotional sign. In fact, it's kind of known for having like pretty much no expression at all. And also, Aquarius can be a very humanitarian sign. And that means it's easy for her to put the needs of the collective, the needs of the people ahead of her own personal needs. So we definitely see that clearly in her chart as well. Now, some people have also asked a lot of questions about how she really is as a person, and we don't really see that as much as if we look at somebody's personal relationships, for example, that's a good way of knowing what they kind of really like in a personal life setting. So the other planet that I want to talk a bit about is the moon. And the moon describes how we show our emotions or how we are with loved ones. And then the moon is in Leo. Now, we all know that Leo is associated with royalty, and I don't think it surprises people that the Queen has got moon in Leo, the lioness and the diva sign. But at the same time, it also describes like a warmth or a generosity that she has towards her family members. And much as she may have the reputation of being a bit of like a very strict or very fierce looking matriarch of the family, but you can actually see there are lots of footage and pictures of her really enjoying her role as a mother, enjoying the little children. She clearly enjoys being a grandmother. And on top of that, there's been a lot of generosity with her family members, such as with her sister, Princess Margaret. And also, because the moon is in the 7th house, and the 7th house is for partnerships and for marriage. And we don't see this warmth and this generosity more so than with her husband of many, many decades, Prince Philip. And those of you who have been following The Crown know that this TV series has made some pretty serious suggestions about the indiscretions that her husband may have had, especially in the early years of their marriage. And so we also see the planet of Neptune in the 7th house. So now Neptune is a planet that describes things like illusions, deceptions, things that aren't real, or in extreme cases, it could even describe people who are not being honest with each other. So this is where we are wading into like sort of dangerous territory here. But it can describe some, not just that the husband may not be fully honest with her, but also that she may have been very capable of looking the other way. Didn't see it, didn't hear any of the bad news. So this, on one hand, it could be, some people can see it as a negative thing, but on the other hand, we can also say that there is a lot of wisdom, and when we say charity, it's about allowing people to sort of live the life and to be expressive in their own way. So with this placement, yeah, I think it also shows how Elizabeth as a whole has been quite easy with the indiscretions of many people. And I think especially nowadays, there have been so much being said about some of her sons, especially with the indiscretions of Charles that happened back in the 90s, especially in the 80s and 90s with his marriage to Diana, but also with her other son, Prince Andrew, and some of his indiscretions that have clearly been in the papers nowadays. But of course, throughout all these scandals, we also know that the Queen has been very respected by people around the world for her ability to maintain her responsibilities to state, to law, and also to the church, because she's also the leader of the Church of England. So this is where it takes us to Saturn, right at the very top of the chart over here. And the thing is, Saturn is a planet that doesn't get the best reputation in astrology because it's where people get trouble or stress or difficulties. And especially as Saturn is in the number 9th house, and that's where things like religion can be a really big problem. Now, if you've been following the series, The Crown, it also means that the Queen has had to make some very difficult decisions, especially regarding her sister. Like, for example, stopping Margaret from marrying a divorced man because it's not what their church allows. I can't imagine that to be an easy decision for a sister to make. But we also see difficulties with politics, and possibly clashes that she may have had with prime ministers or difficulties about political decisions. But what we also see is that Saturn is extremely close to this black arrow here. We call this the midheaven. And it's also how she takes her public reputation or her role as a leader extremely seriously. But this can also explain why there are a few things like the inability to always like smile or be easy in front of the camera with her people. You've seen her in her Christmas announcement. She sits like this and she delivers a clearly memorized speech. There's a lot of stuff that the Queen can't really do in front of the camera, or at least in front of the public. So with this, clearly difficulties here. But we also see that when Saturn and Mars have got this red line in between them, this can also mean that for her, it can feel like her hands are tied behind her back. Because we already know that somebody with Mars in the 1st house wants to be out there. They want to be part of the fight. But it's kind of hard when you're the queen and you're sort of expected to just sort of sit there and look pretty for pictures and for Christmas announcements. And this may actually describe some of the frustrations that she might have not being able to take action. Now, I'd like you to sort of contrast that with the role that she took in the war, when as a young girl, I'm not sure if many people know this, but the Queen has a driving license and at one point was a driver and a mechanic for England during the war, and this was before she became a queen. So I think in many ways it's easy for the warrior and this masculine side of herself to be shown before she became a queen, and then to feel pretty restricted now in her role as a monarch. So of course there are lots and lots of other things that we could cover in the chart, but I hope you enjoyed this. It could be a little bit technical, but I think for many people it's fantastic and fascinating to see how an astrological chart can show us many things about a person's life, and which we may not have seen for many of us had it not been for the TV series The Crown. So I guess, we are huge fans of the Queen here at Astrology, and definitely for somebody who has spent so many decades of her life in service and in contribution to her society and to her country and to her people. And if you love videos like this, if you like to see astrology being explored at beyond just like a basic surface level, do remember to subscribe and let us know in the comments if you'd like us to do more of such videos for other famous people that you're very passionate and interested in. Okay, so until the next video, I'll see you guys.